So hi, this is a momentous occasion in India's financial inclusion drive because it's 10 years of one of our flagship programs called the PMJDY, the Jan Dhan Yojana. You know, those of us who have been studying financial inclusion for over 30 years now, globally, one of the main constraints to financial access has been lack of bank accounts. Because you should think of bank accounts as setting up of a road in a remote place. So when the road comes, many other things come along with the road. So PMJDY, the Jan Dhan Yojana, is like the coming of a road to a segment of the market which has not been part of our financial sector. Most of you are familiar that we have broken records, all kinds of records in the form of number of accounts that have been opened. The latest number is 53 crores and more, which is around 530 million, which is of course it's a gargantuan number if you look at it from a global perspective. But I think the story is not just in terms of the numbers. The story is in terms of what is it doing to the lives of people at the bottom of the pyramid, or if you consider the bottom 40% of the population. First of all, overwhelmingly women. Women are the anchors of not just the household, but of society as a whole. Financial access of women does not just have improvements overall, but it has very significant impact on welfare of the family and particularly children. So women are a very major focus, and we are close to 60% of the beneficiaries of PMJDY happen to be women. I think another heartening figure in terms of targeting is that 2/3 of the beneficiaries happen to be from rural areas or just semi-urban. So they are not mainstream financial markets for us. If you look at it, what are the kind of different benefits? Again, everything that the road can get you in the form of access, connectivity, that's exactly what PMJDY does. So historically, this has never happened in any other country, that at such large pace, such a large part of the unfinanced, unbanked population has been brought into the fold. Now, when we start to look at impact, there are very well published, because it's 10 years, it's long enough to now see what are the direct impacts. Many of them are indirect responses. For instance, the fact that there is an overdraft facility, the fact that the RuPay debit card is linked to that, so you can use it for payment. And you're seeing massive payments even happen within this segment of the market. But the fact that it is enabling SHGs, the self-help groups of women come together and save small amounts of money, which earlier you would put it in the pillow or in a piggy bank or something. Now it's happening in the PMJDY accounts. The numbers have steadily increased. If you think of in each account on an average, how much are people savings? It's a little above 4,000 rupees. So it might not sound like a large amount, but a lot of savings is about discipline. That can you put aside a little money regularly, and that pot swells. That's the kind of disciplining in the financial space that PMJDY has enabled in the last 10 years. So overall, now the savings that PMJDY has is around in excess of 2 lakh crores, which is a large amount of money, and it's a great enabler for savings. Of course, that said, we are saying now the future of PMJDY has to be in the form of assisting poor households in meeting their own savings target, because you don't just save, you save for a reason. So can we think of savings where the product designs are linked to education of children, bad health, so you have a major shock and you need the money. So other than Ayushman Bharat, which provides you insurance, there are added monetary needs. So can PMJDY help in that? It helps you build credit history. It helps you see, have you been disciplined enough to now be eligible for a loan? So now over time you see the entire financial world or bouquet of instruments are opening up to this segment of the market, which until now was outside. So these are all now very well established in terms of what the impacts are. But I'll tell you, to me, what is very significant and I'd like to focus on is it has transformed the way we do welfare in this country. It has enabled DBT, the direct benefit transfer, which almost all multilateral institutions have termed as a logistical marvel. And the more you think of it, you realize that for an economy which used to see tremendous amount of leakages before, when the fabled story from Rajiv Gandhi, the former Prime Minister, when he said that of every rupee that we spend, only 15 paisa really reaches a beneficiary. So imagine from a world like that, we are in a new world where we are now saving 1.5% of the GDP in doing welfare. That's the kind of efficiency that we have improved because of having a Jan Dhan Yojana and enabling a DBT in this country. So we have made welfare very efficient, right? But that's not all. I think we have changed the culture of doing welfare, because it's not what welfare you give, but how you give it. Earlier, even if a beneficiary is entitled to certain benefits, you would have to wait outside, wait in a line, long delays. This we call poverty parade. We don't see poverty parade anymore. And a large part of that eradication is on behalf of the fact that people are entitled to certain things and the government is reaching them directly without any intermediary in the form of a government functionary, a middleman, etc. So I think that the fact that we have instilled a sense of dignity, because now they don't have to really go and wait outside people's offices. So dignity becomes a very important part of the way welfare is being done in India. And I think it's not easy to quantify it. So as economists, we do a very bad job of talking about these aspects of welfare, because it's very difficult to quantify dignity, and yet it's so fundamental to the way welfare should be done. So one question that gets asked about what is the fundamental role of PMJDY in terms of, if you see India's inclusive growth structure in the last 10 years. While we had fundamental reforms in terms of dismantling license permit Raj, now early 90s, you only saw major capital expenditure from government under Prime Minister Vajpayee when you saw building of roads, connectivity in the form of telecom, energy reforms, etc. happen. That's when the trajectory of growth really took off. Now think of the financial architecture of the country being fundamentally rechanged or turbocharged in some sense post 2014 due to PMJDY. Because it is like setting up a core infrastructure for financial inclusion, not just limited from the government or the sarkari way of looking at things, which means I can do welfare better. I can target you and I can transfer whatever benefits you are going to get. And the savings of 1.5%, which is very significant, remember, for a country like ours, which has always seen leakages in the past. But that's the government and the welfare side of the story. There is an equally compelling, perhaps more so, from the private market participation point of view, which means it actually enables further growth. When this entire segment, which is bottom of the pyramid, the minute it gets linked to this financial infrastructure in the form of a bank account, which is what PMJDY is, they are in a position to use this core asset or core infrastructure for many kinds of transactions, right? Which enables payment system. That is why we've seen this massive revolution in the form of the UPI enabled by RuPay, etc. All backend is PMJDY. The entire DBT architecture, whatever the pensions, if you look at Kisan credit cards, if you look at any form of money getting transferred, it's at the back of PMJDY. But I think one thing which is poorly understood and underappreciated is how economically active even poor households are. So there are many different kinds of financial transactions and sometimes very sophisticated. These are poorly understood and not well documented. But now the data which is coming out is very compelling that the poor also lead extremely sophisticated financial lives. Almost all of it today being enabled by PMJDY. So I think there is a reason why we feel very proud of this. We need to understand the various phenomena that are at play here in terms of transforming the lives of the bottom 40% of India's population, driven fundamentally through this instrument, which is PMJDY.